Anaconda, mega predator. Judged on weight alone, the South American anaconda is the world's largest snake. The mere mention of its name brings images of an awesome and terrifying killer.
Look at the top,
oh,
look
wow.
at the top, right there, do you see it? Okay, you won. You're fine. It's time to do the evil look.
I need some help.
Oh yeah, you just got me in one arm.
A mass of writhing muscle, it is truly an icon of the Amazon.
Oh, really putting up a struggle now.
With a strike as fast as a boxer's jab, anacondas are a challenge for those who try to unravel their mysteries.
This one was a piece of me. Ah! No, that was so great.
Anacondas are mysterious creatures, fearsome as well as fascinating. A non-venomous constrictor, the anaconda is the most aquatic of all the boas. Their stealth, cunning, and size, combined with their limbless movement, enhances their scary mystique. But today, scientists are beginning to learn more about this cryptic creature.
Look at all that water. It's not going to be that easy to find the girls today.
Almost 2 decades ago, when herpetologist Dr. Jesus Rivas was looking for a site for his anaconda research, Hato El Cedral seemed the perfect laboratory for his studies. Over the years, Jesus has made numerous trips to the Llanos to collect data on the anaconda. The open savanna doesn't make his work easy, but at least possible.
Good. Suelta, desenréame la pierna primero. How's your hair from me? I can't let her go until she lets me go. Okay.
He has become a familiar sight stalking through lagoons and muddy swamps, often accompanied by Victor Delgado, a resident of Hato El Cedral.
It's a spectacle caiman, good staple food for anacondas. This size has the perfect shape, the perfect, bulk to be swallowed. Of course, it's got good teeth. It's got some weaponry, so when caimans become larger, they can do quite a damage of an anaconda when she tries to eat them. But this size will be perfect for the girl we just released. Let's put this guy back where he goes. He'll be happy to go home. Okay. Do it. No, no me suelto. Ella que no me suelte. Okay. This is the perfect place to study anacondas for a couple of reasons. One of them is there's plenty of anacondas in the area, a lot more than just about anywhere else. And the other reason is that we have a very strong dry season. Half of the year is completely flooded. The other half of the year is very, very dry. When the water recedes in the drought, the anacondas that grow in a large extension of water become concentrated in small areas. That increases tremendously my odds of finding them.
Never found far from water, anacondas inhabit the lakes, rivers, marshes, and streams that form the Amazon and Orinoco Basin of South America, as well as a population that exists on the island of Trinidad. In much of South America, wildlife can be secretive, hidden from view, shielded by dense jungles that frame its famed rivers. But that's not true of the Llanos of Venezuela. This is not the Amazon of imagination. Instead, it's a vast, flat plain that straddles the Orinoco and Apure rivers, spreading across central Venezuela and parts of Colombia. Comprised mostly of cattle ranches called hatos, these plains hold not just productive cattle cooperatives, but wildlife preserves as well. It represents one of the largest wetland complexes in the world. where an intricate relationship between land and water creates a dramatic ecosystem. Jesus's groundbreaking studies have revealed significant information on anaconda behavior.
When we started the anaconda research, there wasn't anything known of anacondas in the wild. So just about everything I learned was new to science. That was great. So I have addressed mark and recapture to study the demography, the mating system, the diet, reproduction, and mobility. So all those things are areas that I have been studying. And at some point it was necessary that I started studying the genetics of the anaconda to really decipher the mating system and gene flows and other questions that are important for the conservation of anacondas.
Together with his wife, Dr. Sarah Corey, a biological conservationist, he's studying the uncertain future of the anaconda.
For the past 3 years, Jesus and I have been doing a study with the DNA of anacondas and coming here in the field and collecting data. So what do we want to call this?
1100.
So far, in the DNA studies that we've done, it's looking like the Llanos has a very isolated population, so genetically it's very similar, and we're kind of concerned about what that might mean for conservation in the future.
A narrow genetic pool is literally like having your stock portfolio limited to one stock. If there's a sudden change in the animal's environment, it's just like a stock market crash. You can be wiped out.
And that is potentially dangerous because the population might look normal, but if there were to be an unpredictable change in the weather, the population does not have the diversity to cope with it. So the anacondas are abundant. That is good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are in good status. The fact that the diversity is low is troublesome.
This kind of research can be slow and frustrating, but never dull. Walking gingerly through the mud and plant life, frequently in their bare feet, Jesus and Sarah use a careful touch and feel technique to locate the snakes. Never quite sure what they're going to uncover.
One thing they learned early on is that shoes are not very useful in the swamp. They don't stay in your food, they slow you down, they don't allow you to feel things that are below. And if you're going to run into something really bad, it's going to go through your shoe anyway. So it's better if you have bare feet and you can detect the product ahead of time.
Sometimes using a long stick to probe the dense plant life. It's really their feet that are attuned to the shapes of creatures hidden from sight.
There.
Having worked with rattlesnakes in the past, Sarah finds that anacondas require a more hands-on approach.
It's very, very different experience. You don't want to step on a rattlesnake, you don't want to find it with your feet, but with anacondas, sometimes the best thing to do is just dive right on top of it.
I got it.
Handling an anaconda takes every muscle in your body.
Oh, wow, it's a good one.
When captured, anacondas go into self-defense mode instantly.
The evil loop, when the snake gets grabbed, she wants to protect her head. That's her main concern. So what she does is throws a loop just like that to cover her head. If the snake is very strong, it pushes my hand from below, and then I end up slipping the snake loose.
Yeah, well, she's got me in the loop now.
I know.
Finding one is the beginning of a wrestling match that equals anything seen on TV. With a snake as massive as this female, it really is a two-person job. A lone individual could be in trouble quickly.
Really putting up a struggle now. She was very slippery and so strong I could not prevent her from dragging me under the mud, and it was quite difficult to actually recover the head before she wrapped me up to go.
But finally, they get the snake under control.
When we catch an animal in the field, we normally grab it, we bring it out of the swamp, where a place where we can collect data on the snake.
Even though the snake may be tired, it doesn't just lie down and wait patiently to be weighed and measured. Jesus, however, has devised several ingenious methods to accomplish this. It's very high-tech, involving a sock, a length of rope, and patience.
I'm ready for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Got it. Normally we put a sock over the head that works like as a muzzle, with a tape behind the jaws and a tape closing the snout that renders the snake unable to bite, and also the snakes tend to calm down quite a bit. After we do that, we follow the spine with a string, and then we measure that string, and then we know how long the snake is. This is 12 feet 8 inches.
Should we put her tail first?
Yeah, tail first. We weigh the snake, 33.
A large adult female anaconda may stretch over 20 feet in length and weigh over 235 pounds with a girth that can exceed 12 inches. Keeping a 50 to 60 pound golden retriever on a leash sometimes becomes a tug of war, but it doesn't compare to getting the upper hand with a female anaconda. Adult male anacondas, on the other hand, remain notably smaller and thinner than the female. In most snake species, females are larger than males. But anacondas display one of the largest sexual size differences between male and female found among vertebrates on land. Like a human fingerprint, the scale pattern on the lower tail is unique to each snake.
That pattern that the anaconda is born with is permanent. That is like a fingerprint that stays like that the rest of its life. We have been able to find animals even after 13 years of recaptures.
At the end of the day, it's 2 tired herpetologists and several tired snakes. Some Venezuelan hatos serve as wildlife preserves, commercial cattle ranches, as well as ecotourism camps. So it's not unusual for an anaconda to be found in close proximity to humans. The snakes have achieved rock star status, enabling tourists a rare opportunity to encounter one of nature's most impressive predators. A chance to examine one up close at first seems a little scary. But curiosity eventually overcomes fear.
It's amazing to me how kids are always ready to just run right up and touch the snake. They want to know all about it.
It's more difficult to get people to like anacondas because of the stigma against the animals. Anaconda has been quite a blessing for the tourist industry in this area. People come to see wildlife and bird watching. That is an important appeal. But because the anacondas are so charismatic and so difficult to find anywhere else, there are scores of tourists that come to this area of the Llanos exclusively to look for anacondas. It has represented a lot of cash that goes into the local economy.
Anaconda!
The wildlife here in the Llanos exists between 2 dramatic climate conditions, extreme flooding and extreme drought. The wet season starts in May and lasts through November as the Llanos' seasonal rains transform the landscape into an ocean of water and grass. The dry season starts in late November and goes through April, creating a wildlife spectacle as animals, especially birds, concentrate in the places of remaining water. As the seasons change, animals like the anaconda have to adjust to their altered environment. Like all other species of snakes, anacondas are cold-blooded, or ectotherms.
They cannot produce their own heat. They need to seek it in the environment, so they constantly have to move to places that have the right temperature they need. They seek the heat when they need it, and they avoid it when it's too intense.
The sight of an anaconda crossing a road or making its way across a pasture is not unusual. Most other wildlife simply ignore it, but not the birds. The appearance of an anaconda in the open is cause for a lot of squawking and screeching from the bird population. Referred to as mobbing, it's a common behavior when a potential threat is encountered.
Most birds feel very strongly about snakes. When an anaconda comes out, it's very common to find birds coming to mob it. And they fly around it, they vocalize it. They never actually attack it. I've never seen them hitting it. But they always go harassing it.
With the possibility of fledglings nearby, the birds take no chance with this intruder. The snakes have poor hearing, but they're quickly aware of the bird's presence and just try to leave the scene as soon as possible. The brief season between the end of the rains and the start of the dry season is vital for much of the wildlife. It's a time to feast, literally before the famine that is to come. For this jabiru stork family, it's time to make sure its offspring is thriving. Nearby, a howler monkey family forages in trees that'll soon be bare. Riverbanks, forest edges, and lagoons come to life with an extraordinary variety of wildlife. With more than 100 species of mammals and over 300 species of birds, trees virtually bloom as thousands come to roost in their branches. Shorelines host dozens of varieties of waterfowl, drawing tourists from all over the world who marvel at this visual feast. At first glance, the Llanos seems idyllic. Its pastoral serenity belies the daily struggle for survival, playing out with savage intensity between predator and prey. Here, the green anaconda is just another piece of a rich and diversified wildlife habitat.
Oh my God, there you go.
Jesus's records on Venezuela's anacondas date back to the early 1990s. So recapturing and evaluating some of his subjects continues to shed light on the stability of the population.
I'm pretty sure he will be fine, but I don't want to add any more stress. Since 1992 to the present, I have marked 13 or 1400 anacondas. Every time we come back to another season, I'm happy to see the llanos again, to see all the animals and the wildlife, and I'm always looking forward to see which old friends I'm gonna find.
Hearing the frenzied call of an anxious jacana is a sure tip-off that an anaconda is somewhere nearby. And this one's caught something. Since anacondas only eat 3 or 4 times a year, finding one feeding gives Jesus and Sarah a rare opportunity to observe this behavior in the field.
Yeah, it has a meal. I don't know what it is yet, but let's go around so we don't disturb her. It seems to be a turtle. It's important for me to find out the whole range of prey items they consume. This is always a compromise that field biologists have to deal with. We need to learn as much as we can from the animals, but doing as little interference with the normal behavior. Anacondas normally kill their prey by squeezing it so tight that the heart cannot fill up with blood, the heart cannot beat. That stops circulation of the animal and kills it very quickly. The anaconda doesn't have any good way to kill a turtle. The only thing the anaconda can do is to drown it. But this is an aquatic turtle, so probably it will take hours for it to die by drowning. Just got a turtle that is almost a foot long, but she's not a really large anaconda, and she's having quite a bit of trouble. I can see how she's trying to hold it with her loops so she can shove her mouth towards it. She's trying to maneuver it. She has to get it by the head, and she had to pin it with her loops at the same time that she spread her jaws around the shell of the turtle. Once the snake starts swallowing the prey, she becomes very vulnerable. Her only weapon, her mouth, is busy swallowing the prey. This process might take easily 4 hours, 6 hours, depending on the size of the prey.
She's probably going to finish eating it as soon as we leave.
The next morning, Sarah and Jesus go in search of the anaconda to see if she successfully swallowed the turtle. The breeding season's just a few weeks away. Female anacondas need sufficient fat to survive their pregnancy when they don't eat for as many as 7 months or more.
If she ate the turtle, then she will be somewhere hidden nearby, digesting it. Somebody here. There she is. Got her here. Okay. She is big. Look at the turtle.
Oh,
Look
wow.
at the turtle right there. Do you see her? Oh, actually, the head is over here. I don't want her to lose her meal, so that is the size of the turtle. This is the lump. You can see the turtle right there. And she is about to snap at my butt. No, don't do it. Don't do it. No, please don't do it. Ah! Ow, okay, fine. I know I deserve it. I'll leave you alone. This is the lump. You can see a big feat for an anaconda to eat a prey that size. Okay, you won. You're fine. Let's back out and leave her alone. I'm glad she's fine, she's healthy. She has a bit of a temper. She bit me. Of course, there's no venom, there's nothing to worry about. Sometimes it amazes myself how the anaconda can swallow a turtle shell and digest it. But her digestive juices are so powerful that they will dissolve that shell down to nothing. When she defecates, there won't be hardly any evidence. All the bones will be digested. It's good to know that she's alive, she's healthy, and, you know, getting good meals.
Anacondas feed on a wide variety of prey, from small birds to caiman, deer, and capybaras. The snake rarely loses, but sharp claws and teeth can spell disaster, turning the table on the predator. Unlike most carnivores, which can bite off hunks of flesh and chew their prey, snakes have no limbs or cutting teeth and must swallow their food whole. To compensate for their lack of limbs, the anaconda, like most snakes, is a uniquely adapted predator.
Here, we can see the right and the left jaw are separated. They are not joined right there. That allows the snake to swallow very large prey. And also these mobile hinges right in the jaws allow her to open the mouth a lot more than it would be possible for a comparable reptile.
Employing more than 100 backward-facing razor-sharp teeth, a snake unhinges its upper jaw and walks its head around and over the victim as its lower jaw works independently, pulling right and left to ratchet the prey into its mouth. Gradually, the kill is consumed whole. Despite their lack of offensive weaponry such as claws, snakes are impressive hunters, employing an arsenal of complex senses to survive what is essentially a hostile environment. Although harmless, the sight of a snake flicking its tongue gives most people chills, with some believing the tongue can sting. But this highly sensitive organ is crucial for any snake to be able to navigate its world.
Right now, as she's tongue flicking, what she's doing is picking up chemical signals from the air, and it's relayed to the Jacobson's organ.
Most animals have a keen sense of smell, but the sense of smell in snakes and lizards has been enhanced in an amazing way. Using their tongues to gather particles in the air, as well as underwater, their tongue relays messages to the brain about its surroundings. With each tongue flick, the snake scans its environment. This information is then transmitted from its tongue to its brain through two pits in the roof of the mouth, which connect to the Jacobson's organ. That's why snakes have forked tongues. It's little wonder that snakes, especially anacondas, are surrounded by myths and legends. There's always been something curious and unknown about snakes, but with new technology, science is gradually unraveling some of their mysteries. So far, it's been a very productive trip for Sarah and Jesus.
The status of the anacondas in this area looks good. Demographically, they're doing well. They are large individuals, there are a lot of young individuals, so we know that the animals are breeding and the babies are surviving. That is a good thing.
There are already signs of the start of the dry season, and with it comes the possibility of finding a female that's about to breed.
The genetic analysis that we're doing is parentage analysis. In other words, we want to use DNA fingerprinting techniques to look at what are the qualities of the male that actually sires the babies.
Anacondas prefer a drier environment to mate. It will be several months before the conditions are right. However, Mother Nature is never predictable. Sarah and Jesus will know for sure when they return later in the year. It's now April, and Jesus and Sarah return to Hato El Cedral, hoping to find a breeding ball, an essential component to their genetic research.
One of the fascinating things of anacondas is their mating behavior. Normally a female lays out on the shallow water and males come wrapping around her. And it's very amazing to find. When we go in the field, we find what looks like a giant spaghetti ball of twirling and squirming snakes. It's quite a sight.
The other analysis that we're doing with the DNA is a paternity test. One of our questions is which male in fact does sire the offspring of the female. Is it the biggest male? Is it the smallest male? Is it many different males? So those are the kinds of questions that we're going to ask using the DNA.
What they find on arrival is not what they expected.
In all the years I have been working here, I have never seen a dry season that is so wet as this one. The baby iguanas that are meant to be hatched like 2 weeks ago, they are not around. The mangoes are even green. They're supposed to be yellow like a month ago. It seems like the whole season has been moved back a month or two. So if that is consequence of a larger pattern of global change, I don't know. I don't know.
Day after day, they trudge through water-soaked pastures searching for breeding females.
The swamp should be very, very dry. At this time, anacondas are breeding. It should be easy to find breeding balls. That is not happening. We're looking out there and we're having a very, very hard time finding breeding balls.
On closer examination, they find a number of snakes in the mud trying to escape the intense heat.
No reaction.
But no females.
Yes.
Only a lot of belligerent males.
Aye!
You have been tagged. Welcome to the club.
That's nice. That's what my husband has to say about this. Welcome to the club. I have to say that does not hurt as much as a tetanus shot.
That's right.
Definitely not.
That's exactly right.
So what did you tell me? There's no snake catchers who get bitten once. Either 0 times or 20.
What a temper.
They do find one lone female.
Oh my lord. Yeah, hold it down. We're gonna grab the head. This is an example of problems anacondas get. This is a very large girl, but she's very skinny. And the reason might be because she has a bad mouth infection. Horrible mouth infection, in fact. She's got a growth. Oh my word, what is that? Oh, she's not even capable or willing to bite. The teeth are broken. And here there is some fractured bone apparently from the lower jaw. It's hard to make out. This eye has a bad abscess. When they attack large prey, they suffer a lot of injuries and wounds. And this is what may happen to them. Her upper jaw seems to be okay, but the lower jaw is in terrible shape. I've never seen a snake this big up. It has infection in all the teeth in the lower jaw, and she has a piece of bone sticking out here. Seems that the mandible was broken in two, and one part is there. It's a solid, it's a bony structure there. And she might have had this wound for probably quite a long time. That's why she's so skinny. She's shedding, which is a good sign. They do that to recover from wounds and stuff. She's fighting back. She's not giving up on it. She was in a very warm water, which is what they do to fight infections. They give them some fever. She hasn't eaten in a long time, obviously. That's why she's so skinny. And this horrible mouth infection, if she doesn't heal her mouth soon enough so she can start eating, then she probably won't make it. I have seen anacondas survive wounds as bad as this in the mouth, but she's not a goner. They are extremely tough animals, and she might recover from this one. We'll just let nature be.
The future for this snake is not good. As she swims away, the birds mob her. For field biologists, compiling data is like putting together pieces of a puzzle. And now this female will become one of those pieces. With transmitters now in several snakes, Sarah and Jesus are hopeful they'll find a mating ball soon. There have been some good signs that Mother Nature is getting back to normal. Baby iguanas have begun to appear, but most importantly, male anacondas are on the move. Normally secretive and reclusive, males risk predation as they travel in the open, searching for a receptive female. This is where their smaller size can be a plus. With each flick of their tongue, the males pick up the female's irresistible perfume. This perfume, called a pheromone, is a scent or odor produced by a female anaconda that lets the males know she's ready to mate. It's unclear if female anacondas only leave this scent as they crawl, or if males also pick up the scent from particles in the air. The result gives new meaning to group sex as multiple males coil around a single female. While wrapping tightly around the female's body, the males scratch the female with their spurs, a primitive feature probably from their lizard ancestry.
Males come wrapping around her, coiling around, courting her with the spurs, moving them very fast in a tickling fashion. All that is the courtship. And in that time, males are pushing one another, trying to see who can stay in the female where they can mate. This may last 3, 4, even 6 weeks. So it's a very amazing investment of energy that these animals do. During those 6 weeks, they don't eat, they don't do anything but just courtship and mating. Is a very amazing ritual.
Despite the uneven sex ratio, no conflicts or antagonistic interactions occur between the males. It's more of a pushing tournament. In a final attempt to ensure his sperm will succeed, the male implants the female with a white mass of protein and sperm to block her vent. This sperm plug lasts only a couple of days and might not prevent her from being courted by others who will make similar attempts. When the breeding ball breaks apart, the female and all the males go off on their own.
Here.
Then it's a mad dash to collect the males for their DNA. It takes hours to round up all the snakes from the mating ball.
It's a capture from 2 years ago, right?
Analyzing the data they've gathered will add another layer of information to their study.
Right now, for the parentage testing, we really have to develop DNA markers that are just for anacondas. It's never been done before.
One of the things that I enjoy the most of working with the snakes is when I get to put the snake back into the wild where they belong.
In about 7 months, this anaconda will give birth to 20 to 60 live young. The mother does not eat during her entire pregnancy because it makes her too vulnerable to predators.
When the anaconda breeds, she does not feed in all the 7 months the pregnancy lasts. So it's very important that she has a lot of fat reserves, a lot of fat storage in order to have healthy babies.
The months of pregnancy put such stress on her body that by the time she gives birth, she is basically starving. Females retain their eggs in their oviducts and nourish the young within them through a rudimentary placenta. The young develop inside a thin membrane, breaking out at birth. They may be young, but they're not small, measuring well over 2 feet in length. Anacondas aren't nurturing, and the young have to fend for themselves from their first breath. This young anaconda, with part of its birth sac still attached, wastes no time going off on its own. Anacondas are born with the ability to swim and the skills they need to survive. But they're still at risk. Adult anacondas have virtually no predators, but newborns are extremely vulnerable to all kinds of threats, from caiman and birds to wildcats like ocelots and jaguars.
A big anaconda avoids predation by power, by strength, and by stealth. It's a very cryptic animal, it's difficult to see. A baby anaconda, just about everything that catches them can eat them. Anything from herons, storks, caimans, because they are not fast, they are not venomous, they're not strong yet. So they pretty much rely on not being seen. Whoever finds them, that's their game.
By the time it reaches adulthood, an anaconda weighs 500 times more than its size at birth. This growth rate is significantly higher than the increase found in any other species of snake. Females are thought to reach adulthood in about 8 years, while males are thought to mature sooner. But with nature's leveling influence, few of the newborns will make it past their first year. Just as science is getting a better grasp on their behavior, snake populations are declining in places where they used to flourish. It'll take Sarah and Jesus years of fieldwork to collect all the necessary data to assess the anaconda's future. The mystery that surrounds this giant snake continues to fascinate and stimulate our imagination.